All right, guys, back with the COVID cabal. We're back again. Check my reception here. We're doing okay. We're doing okay. How are you guys doing? How are you guys doing? Look at this. I'm sure you guys heard the first news today, right? First news today. Lads, whatever. Trump's making Christmas great again. Christmas Eve, now a federal holiday in the United States. It's about fucking time, to be honest. About fucking time. A lot of companies would give you half days on Christmas Eve. It's like, oh, really generous, half day on Christmas Eve. Yeah, Jay and I drop a ton of stuff in that, especially when it comes to vaccines. We talk a lot about vaccines. We talk a lot about the history of the United States, and I mean, Jay has just got an incredible amount of lore, an incredible amount of esoteric lore. I'll be joining his group with Michael Jaco. I don't know if you guys know Michael Jaco, former, not simply former Navy SEAL, but former SEAL Team 6 guy. Elite part of SEAL Team 6, actually. One of the elite divisions or squads in SEAL Team 6. Worked with the CIA and everything. Does remote viewing. It's incredible. I mean, he's got like a couple thousand jumps, as in like jumping out of airplanes. So Jake is incredible, and him and Jay have this incredible group. Basically about optimizing your mind and your spirit and everything. And I intend to jump into that by the end of the month. But guys, we're gonna get into a lot of stuff. There's a lot of crazy things happening. Initially, I had a pretty busy day, but very very productive, and was thinking I was just gonna push this back till tomorrow. But hey, what's up, brooding? But there's some stuff that happened that I found out just about an hour ago, and I figured I want to get to I want to jump on this immediately. I want to jump on it immediately because even if there's some BS in it, I don't want us. So guys, last bets went in this afternoon. Last bets, and I have put in 227,500. It's the final total. Final total. 227,500. And it should be about a 2 million payday. Although I won't take home that much. So we'll see. We'll see how it happens. Yeah, I won't take home that much. I'll probably take home like 1.25 after taxes and after other things. But it's getting pushed back, guys, and that's one of the things I want to talk about. Well, I appreciate that, Romeo. I appreciate that. But you know what? That's good money for me. That'll save me a couple of years and set my family on a really good course. I don't care about going crazy with it. I mean, obviously, I'm happy to make money, but my goal is not to make $100 million. I don't. It'd be nice to have, but whatever. Whatevs. I got some really good odds, guys. I was only going to make a couple 100,000, and then all this, and then with everything that happened with him losing the election. I mean, the odds went from 3-1. I was happy to get 3-1. Everyone was, if you got 3-1, you were getting great odds. Now it's like my worst odds that came in after that time period were 14.5. I have a couple thousand in at 14.5. I got some money in at 34-1, guys. 34-1 odds. Insane. And I got a couple above more than that are at 30 and 32. Yeah, at one point I wasn't gonna bet, and I understand. I'm all about like why I didn't. I'm looking rugged. I think is the answer. Not rough. I'm looking rugged because I'm growing out the beard. This is the Trump inauguration beard. It's gonna on when Trump's inauguration day. I'll shave it off. I'm gonna keep this stuff going. Well, all I'm gonna say is that I got friends. I'll put it that way. I got friends, and I'm a generous person, so there's a reason why I'm not taking home all of that 2 million. But there's a lot of win-wins that you can get if you know people, you trust people. So And it's all legal. It's all legal, by the way. But you gotta have that contact. The smart money's on Harris, right? All right. So anyway, whatever. We're unfortunately, there are some things with the bets. There's some stuff with the bets. But first we gotta do the wine, guys. We always gotta do the wine. We can't break with tradition here. Fortunately, it's not a very long lecture. I know, actually, I don't want to say fortunately, because I like doing the lectures, and some of you guys really love the lectures on the wine, but it's a short one today. So again, I'm trying to do these side by side, sides of the same producer, and this is pretty cool. So we did Montepulciano d'Abruzzo before. Now we're doing Trebbiano d'Abruzzo. Okay, so Montepulciano d'Abruzzo was a red. We've now moved out of South Italy. We're now back in Central. So Trebbiano d'Abruzzo is not the same, guys. It's not the same. And I actually didn't know this until I was doing some research before the call. They are Trebbiano di Toscano. There's a lot of Trebbianos. These are like the really crappy basic Trebbianos, which is like the basic white that you get in most of central Italy. Trebbiano d'Abruzzo is actually a higher quality grape. Now, I know, I kind of wish they gave him a different name. It's a different grape though. It's much better. But the problem is this area, Abruzzo, is like in Puglia. It's really just very high yields. So unless you get a producer that really does a low yield with it, then it's not going to shine. It's not going to shine so much. Now, same thing. Pecorino's a little bit of another different grape that's also, and in this case, grown in Abruzzo. So we have the two nice whites, so to speak. They're not super nice. The two whites of Abruzzo made by the same producer. So, guys, if we're going to get a blind test between Trebbiano d'Abruzzo and Pecorino and see what's the difference between these two grapes, is there a difference? Are they just basic whites? Does it matter? We're going to find out. So let's try the Trebbiano d'Abruzzo. It's actually got a nice nose. It's a little creamy, little peaches on the nose. I think go to cheap wine. That's a good question. Oh, hold on, guys. I'm gonna try to get on. I just lost my internet connection. Hold on, let me move locations. Give me a second, guys. I'm not gonna take the bottles. So just if you want to take a screenshot, take that screenshot. I'm gonna top off and just take the glasses with me. So we'll take care of that. Yep, it's all right. Don't worry, guys. Dark and mysterious journey through my house. All right, good. Now, the thing is, I don't usually leave the study, but I was doing a little. I was in there before, so I gotta share stuff with my dad sometimes too. My dad's hard at work very often, writing articles about various Scottish people. So let's try the Trebbiano d'Abruzzo. So like we said, we've got so they're definitely different on the nose. Let's see if you can see the color is a little bit more golden for the Trebbiano d'Abruzzo, whereas the Pecorino is a little more lime green. Let's see. That's nice. That's actually pretty nice. It's not super complex, but it's well made. Remember that wine? Remember that Fiano from Puglia last night? That was just a cheap white. It was sloppy aftertaste stuff. This is really well structured. It's really refreshing. It's only got like two notes that you really, it's kind of like peaches and cream. There's a little bit of apple. I'm sure some wine guy could pull out a couple other random things. You got a fucking Barolo. So I'm jealous. Nebbiolo, I think, is probably my favorite grape. I love Nebbiolos. We're doing Barolo last because after we do Barolo, after we do Piedmont, we're moving right into France for the next country. So the Pecorino, they are different. They're 100% different, guys. I gotta tell you, same location, same producer, definitely different grapes. The Pecorino has a little bit of a stink to it, not like in a bad sense, but it's just an accent. It's like a very vegetal kind of smell, like asparagus or something like that. Yeah, it tastes like lemon juice and asparagus. Dude, I was trying to take a break, and honestly, I promise sometimes a lot. This is like the fourth day in a row of Periscopes, but a lot of stuff was going on. Actually, I forgot my. Well, I'm gonna do it from memory. I'll do it from memory. I'll hit the big stuff. But there was actually a question I was gonna answer before I went into the COVID cabal stuff. Yeah, go to cheap wine for reds. You got Malbec. I like Spain a lot for that. There's a lot of them. But I go Europe for cheap reds. When it comes to more expensive reds, mid tier, so many good things come out of the rest of the world. But cheap wine that comes from the New World is, in my opinion, really unpleasant. Not a great thing. This is my backlight. Not a big fan. So, all right, guys, let's get into the meat here. So, there are two big things I want to talk about. But the first we have to go into, which is the Supreme Court case, and I'm going to tie that into the timeline. Now, look, I want to be honest here. Oh yeah, I was mentioning about this. My little Trump, make Christmas great again. I want to be honest here, okay? I've I'm I am not I have a good intuition, but I'm not God. I don't have everything. I know the outcome. I don't know the full movie. And so, to a certain extent, when it comes to certain little steps along the way, I don't have everything completely figured out. Okay, I know that certain things have to happen, but for instance, when we were back in the spring, remember I thought that we would be done with the COVID stuff by the end of April. I actually thought it would be done by around Easter, but maybe peter out throughout April, because I was thinking that would be what would happen on a fair timeline. And that was not correct, obviously, because they were starting to use COVID as this bigger thing, and COVID became much more than just a simple tactical thing. It became a whole macro way of trying to, do the transition that they wanted to do. So now we have the situation with the election. So what did I know? I knew that they were going to steal the election, and I knew that it was going to end up in SCOTUS, and I knew that Trump was going to win at SCOTUS, and I knew that everything was going to get revealed. I knew that the military was going to monitor it, and I knew that Trump was going to win. He was going to win in the end. But I think, and frankly, I think that this is my own personal bias, is that I've got, as you guys know, 227,500,000 caught up in the markets. I've actually got that's how much I put in. I've actually got about 60,000 back already in winnings, which has mostly been reinvested as part of that 227,500. Because I had a bunch of like house races and stuff that I bet on. But point here of all this, right? The point is that I was hoping, because I have, December 14th seemed like a deadline, and I had, I'm on credit for a lot of this stuff. It's not a problem for me to pay for it, by the way, guys. Don't worry. Just have to liquidate some stocks, and they're doing well. It's not a problem. Just try to avoid the tax burden of having to liquidate stocks. But So it's totally fine. I'm probably going to do that next week or two because I was hoping that I would be able to get my winnings by the solstice. And now I'm not convinced about that. And I'll tell you why I'm not convinced about it. So let's go into this lawsuit, and we're going to talk about what's happening with the lawsuit and where this is going. The real timeline. The real timeline. Okay. Because unfortunately, things are not happening as fast as we'd like. I know a lot of us. I'm enjoying it, for the record. And if I didn't have any of the money kind of shit going on, I wouldn't care at all about speeding it up. I'm happy to see it squirm. I'm happy to enjoy the excitement of this once in a lifetime experience. But um, we all want things to go faster than they're going, in the sense that there's a lot of tension. There's a lot of tension, and the more the tension gets drawn out, we feel like, is Trump going to pull it off? What's going to happen with the 14th? So this Supreme Court case, okay? Yeah, the wheels of justice turn slowly and disclosure happens slowly. And what is happening is that the 14th is the end of the first phase, the first post-election phase. And it's kind of looking like it's going to be split into, I mean, it's kind of like the midway point, probably. It's the midway point. It's probably the midway point. Not the end. It's probably the midway point. And so let's talk about it. So I have now listened to multiple and read multiple things. Well, the astrological predictions, Salman, are correct. It's just that the astrological. Well, I'm going to explain this. I'm going to explain because they're all meaning big things. You probably saw in the news today. They were talking about how on inauguration day there's going to be a total solar eclipse. There's going to be a comet and there's going to be a meteor shower. Okay, crazy stuff all happens on inauguration day. So it's a very big symbolic day. Of course, we have the conjunction, but all of these various things that are happening, they're all big energy blasts. They all add to shifts. Okay, so look, this Supreme Court case is incredibly crafted. And guys, who did we see it coming? Did we see it coming? Did we see this kind of case coming? We didn't see it coming. That's the thing, and that's the problem with trying to know things on a logical level and trying to understand the outcome on a logical level. I mean, like reptilian logic, right? Because you could argue it's logical that Trump's going to win, because if you know Trump and you know what he knows, it's logical to expect he'd win. Salman, you gotta chill, brother. You gotta chill. You gotta chill. It's not your timeline. I know you want that money, Salman, but it's on our timeline. So I know you're not chill. I know you're not chill. I'm sorry because you're in debt. I understand. I'm sorry, man. I know you're in debt, but it's gonna work out. It's gonna work out. You're gonna be great. You're gonna get that. You're gonna get that money back. Don't worry. You're gonna get it back. Salman, yeah, you gotta have a glass of wine. You gotta have a glass of wine. It's important. It's important for the COVID cabal to have a glass of wine. So look, guys, we have it's on our timeline, but this lawsuit is incredibly crafted. It's incredibly crafted. It's my wife wants to eavesdrop on that. She wants to enjoy the COVID cabal too from the sidelines. So we are where was I, guys? Where was I? I gotta get my train of thought back. So this is why this is an incredible case. Okay, we did not know that this kind of case was coming. And you better believe that the left didn't know it was coming either. This is an extremely clean case. Okay. Now, I've had a bunch of shill lawyers talk to me and tell, I'm not a lawyer. Okay. So it's not to say that there are any. Hold on 1 second. Kate, you want to come in? You want to come in the other? You want to come in the other door? Okay, you don't want to be on camera? My wife's very shy. She's very shy right now. She's 8.5 months pregnant, so she wants to lurk in the shadows. Come on, you want to just give a little. Come on, let's give a little. No, she doesn't want it. She's very shy. She's doing great. She's got her big pregnancy ball here. She's got her big fat gut, and she's got her big pregnancy ball. She's gonna bounce around. She's gonna bounce around right next to me on the periscope. Come on, give him a cameo appearance. No, she doesn't want a cameo appearance. She's been cooking Polish food all day, so just wants to chill. So, um, so here's the thing with SCOTUS. We didn't see it coming. We didn't see this jurisdictional stuff coming, but it's a very clean case. Okay, because what does it do? It attacks directly. It uses the fraud as ancillary points. They're all wishing you well, by the way, Kate. She's giving thumbs up. She's appreciative. They're all attacking this from multiple points. Okay, the fraud is brought in there. They bring in the incredible point, which is that we have it's like a one in quadrillion chance that Biden could have won the election after the tallies on election night, right? But the big thing here, there's two things I think about this that are big. The first one is that it's targeted directly about just constitutional issues, which is the fact that in these four swing states, and by the way, it was much more than these four swing states. Okay, it was much more than these four swing states. But again, it's a targeted shot. It's a targeted shot that in these four swing states, that the judges and especially the executives of the state just completely violate the law at their own discretion. And they didn't simply violate the law, but using friendly lawsuits, aka having some Democratic activist group, which happened in Pennsylvania and in Georgia, sue the state to get rid of any sort of checking requirements, and then they immediately just settled these lawsuits. So basically, you had them breaking the law by doing things that have a track record of obviously making more fraudulent situations occur, and then they did multiple things across the board to try to make it even more possible for fraud. They broke the amount of times that they broke the law, whether it was blocking poll watchers, whether it was simply disobeying state law. It's out of control. It's across the board. It was a huge thing, and the argument that okay, SCOTUS is the only court that can deal with issues between states. First off, second off, though, Trump isn't a primary party, but he can jump on it as an auxiliary. I'm maybe getting the terminology wrong, but you understand what I mean. He is able to use his as a kind of as someone who's joined on to the lawsuit. He's able to bring his own evidence into the case, and so if they allow it to go forward with discovery, which they will, then that's when we have everything open up. That's when the floodgates open up, right? That's when it opens up. So, and these states are all suing because these swing states broke federal law, right? Because it's not even about the state constitutions. Mark Levin mentioned this, that Pennsylvania legislature actually violated the state constitution. But SCOTUS isn't going to get involved with that. That's a state issue. But a federal issue is that the state legislature is the one that backs up that per Article 2 or whatever the Constitution, when it comes to electoral votes, electoral college, that they set election laws because it's a federal issue. And that's what it basically says, is that this has been damaging to the entire country. It's diluted the votes of other states because these swing states breaking the law means that the entire country has suffered. I don't know if that by itself would have been enough, to be honest. I don't know if it had just been these states that had come in, if that would be enough. But you know what's enough? The fact that the legislatures of those states, the swing states, have also come in on the lawsuit. And guys, once the legislatures of those swing states came in on the lawsuits, it's a lock. It's a lock. Because if the Supreme Court said, we're not going to allow this, then they're basically saying directly that the legislature is, because the legislature of the swing states is now complaining to the Supreme Court that their power was taken from them in the matters. There's no ambiguity there. There's no ambiguity there. Of course, we're going to get 4 justices are not going to vote for it. And there's been some rumors that those justices have said that they're not going to vote on it at all. They're not even going to engage with it. But they have direct standing and provable damage. Exactly. And you have all these hack lawyers. Like, guys, I didn't go to law school. I got accepted. I got accepted to Cornell. I was good. Actually, I got accepted to Northwestern and Cornell.